All right, we've got a long couple hours ahead of us, I think, for this patch note review. I cannot believe it's today. That's fantastic. I had seen this announcement on Twitter. I was hoping it would be soon, but not even in my best hopes. My most optimistic look at this was I expecting it to be this soon. At the very least, I was thinking it was going to be around the launch of the console version. But Baldur's Gate 3 patch number 1 is out, released today, and we're going to read through that on stream, figure out what they've fixed. It's a major bug fix patch, so I think this is going to be a while. And I scanned through some of it this morning, and just when I thought I was getting close to finishing, I realized I was like 1/3 of the way there, 1/4 of the way there, so I'm saving it for stream. So here we go. All right. Hello everyone. Today we're releasing our first major patch for Baldur's Gate 3, addressing over 1,000 bugs, balancing flow issues, and much, much more. So what can you expect from this update? We've eliminated issues like NPCs who sometimes spot you when they really shouldn't be able to, floating items like mugs and newspapers that should abide by the laws of gravity, and the conclusion to Shadowheart's romance scene, not triggering for some players among others. With expansive systems come many unknowns. Our support team continues to work with you to relay any issues to us. Patch 1 also tackles visual bugs, sprinkles on some post-launch polish, and we're bringing back Short King Summer with some better kissing contact for short races, which, to be fair, helps us. All right. All that's fluff, just saying they've done some stuff. Cool. This one is not so much fluff. You won't be waiting long for patch 2, which is right around the corner. The update will feature significant performance improvements, but we'll get more into detail about that closer to its release. Patch number 2, according to their timeline, also has some stuff to do with basically community feedback. I'm really hoping patch 2 is the one that I have some mechanical hopes for. Patch 1 to me was always supposed to be just a bug fixing patch, but we'll see. And then in the meantime, you guys have played 22,000 years of Baldur's Gate 3. I believe it. I feel like personally I've played 22,000 years of Baldur's Gate 3, and there's probably other people who have done so as well. The most popular class choice is currently Paladin, followed by Sorcerer. Paladin's pretty strong. Sorcerer is, well, one of these days I will get around to doing my class review list for Baldur's Gate 3. I actually find Sorcerer to be one of the least interested classes right now, which is interesting to see that's played second. While the award for least popular class goes to Cleric. I understand, Cleric's a little boring. A lot of them though, kind of weird to see that. Human and elf characters reign supreme in Faerun. I would wish they had told me if this was player created or not. The reason why elf characters and human characters are so prevalent in Faerun is because half the fucking companions are human, elf, or half-elf. So, I mean, I wish I wasn't having to play elf and human and everything, but the racial bonuses for them are both pretty good, and most of the companions are that way. Followed swiftly and unsurprisingly by half-elf. Half-elf's not very good in this game, so it's kind of weird to see that. The stats being moved around have made them less good. We'll talk about that some other video, I guess. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we find Dwarf, Gnome, Githyanki, and Halfling. Yeah, this makes absolutely no sense. Dwarf and Gnome don't seem particularly stand out to me. Dwarf in particular seems really bad right now. But Githyanki is just the most overpowered thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, as races go in this game, it's absolutely busted. And I think Halfling is pretty damn busted too. Both these are really good. These are probably my 2 favorite races in the game right now. So, kind of weird. We get it. They're not exactly the most ethereal beauties of the realms. I see. This is what their conclusion is. Their conclusion is people aren't min-maxing and are picking it for aesthetics, please. But they'll still form a rad metal band. But now we'll focus on the fixes. Thank you for playing Baldur's Gate 3 and continue to share this adventure with us. Spoilers, please bear in mind, this is a really important one, chat. So if you are watching this and you don't want anything possibly spoiled at all, sorry, there are spoilers in their patch notes. So listen at your own risk here. All right. Highlights. Showstoppers. The Emperor will no longer leave you stranded in the Morphic Pool. Don't know what that means. Starting to use the boat to go to the Morphic Pool, sending the characters to camp, and then using another character to make the journey will no longer block you from progressing. Fix the bug or listening in on a conversation as player 1 and then exiting the dialogue prematurely would result in not being able to interact with anything anymore. Fixed an issue causing the reaction UI to not work correctly and possibly block progress in combat if you save the game in the middle of a reaction. Fixed loot and corpses sometimes not appearing in multiplayer until an item is dragged onto the corpse. Fixed a bug causing you to get a game over screen after helping down party members. Fix the Helm of Arcane Acuity crashing the game. This condition is now capped at 7. A number of viewers talking about this in my channel. Attacking an NPC during a dialogue after being down will not get you will now get you arrested rather than giving you a game over screen, fix an issue where characters could get stuck in the infinite falling loop, and fix an issue with Marcus being resurrected by players hitting him with the dual-wielded attack. The second hit will no longer revive him. I'm not encountering any of these except the Helm of Acuity one, but Showstoppers a showstopper, as in it breaks the game entirely, so good to see them gone. Story flow and logic. Will should be able to talk about Raven Guard being at Moonrise Towers, will no longer have an exclamation point above his head and without having anything to say. I have ignored Will mostly because he's so mechanically uninteresting that I just have never used the character and don't really intend to. Good to see any of the companion stuff seems to need to be fixed though, so good. Will should be able to tell you what to do next. If Ansar is killed and he has an exclamation mark above his head, Ravenguard no longer addresses non-tadpole characters as true souls in Worm's Rock. Shadowheart should more easily follow up on her proposed romance moments in Act 3. I'm glad they're hitting the important ones. Fixed conditions being updated before a save game finished loading. This, for instance, caused the hag to have 0 HP if loading an autosave created when entering the lower city, preventing you from progressing through related quests. A lot of these are going to be bug fixes. There's not going to be a lot of commentary on most bug fixes except to say, good, I'm glad they fixed the bug. But we'll get to some that are a little bit more interesting. Some of them are balance related too, although a little bit later. Fix Karlach not going to camp after being freed from the Worm's Rock prison if your party was full. Jaheira and Mink's paths are tied after you save Mink, so if you forsake him, Jaheira should now follow after him. Fix a bug that made it possible to break up with Asterion without meaning to. The Drider will now recognize that you're with him when reaching Moonrise Towers if you start following him in the middle of his route. I had some bugging interactions with the Drider too, so good to see that. Art Cullig and Fist Jailer no longer get so scared of bears and spiders that their quest breaks. This is I wish that this was a broader bug fix. I find NPCs react really weirdly to summons as well as hostiles, right? So summons right now are like treated as like a scary thing and they run away. And I'm not sure if it's breaking my quests. I can't really tell, but it's certainly breaking my ability to interact with NPCs as they run away because I have a fire elemental summon. The Zentarum will now consistently use the mines after their allies have fallen back to safety and will no longer actively try to blow themselves up when checking active mines. Don't know what that means, but I do know what Zentarum are. I just don't know what that quest line is. Minthara no longer references irrelevant topics or passes judgments on companions more than once. That's funny. There's some very judgy characters in this game, for sure. It's hilarious that she might have been bugged to do it, though, and probably most players just thought she was just really, really judgy. Fix the dialogue flow when dating Minthara. Fix Minthara's body disappearing at camp after you decide to bring a sweet moment to a terrible end. You can no longer recruit both Halsum and Minthara to the camp at the same playthrough. I don't know how I feel about that. I like the idea of companion use, but in reality, I don't really want to build a team that's constantly changing, and I often am targeting certain characters in certain playthroughs. And I like that the storyline supports that people who are diametrically opposed do not wish to work together, but I also don't like having to know that before I make those decisions as a player, like knowing the storyline of the characters before I can figure out what my team comp's going to be. It's the same reason I don't really like having some characters recruitable like midway through the game who weren't there earlier. I feel like, hey, I'm building a party with some team comp stuff in mind, and it really screws things up to have all that change midway through, and often is not worth the bother to set up for me. So interesting, but not sure what I think of that. Change several precise map markers into more appropriate general area markers, such as investigating Khadga, investigating the cellar in the Blighted Village, and finding Halsin at the Goblin Camp. I get it. It doesn't make sense to know where the exact location of a thing you're looking for is, but as the player, it's pretty annoying when there's a fair number of markers that don't seem super accurate relative to what you're trying to do. So it's super annoying to be in an area right where the marker is and not find what you're supposed to be looking for. So we'll see how that feels. I like the idea of it, but maybe the practice might just need to be a nod towards functionality as opposed to lore. Make it less ambiguous that you're starting a romance with Gale when choosing certain dialogue option. Thank fucking God for this. Gale was like the thirstiest dude ever because anything you said to him that was even remotely nice was suddenly Gale's like, yeah, we fucking yet? And I'm like, Jesus, Gale, just come on, dude. Like, where's this coming from? During Gale's spell teaching scene, you now have the option to picture a future with Gale that falls somewhere in between kissing him and kicking him in the head. Exactly. All of the options were always this. It's either like make love to Gale or burn him alive with his family watching. And there's like nothing in between for dialogue options. So I appreciate that. When confronting Raphael in the House of Hope, we haven't done this yet. Raphael will no longer target his own pillars or allies with Flames of Avernus. Good. Probably. The rescue of the Grand Duke quest should now receive a proper update after the Duke's whereabouts regardless of the way the quest started. Good. Actually, I think I just had this happen to me, and I don't think there was an update, so it'll be interesting to see what it says now. Fix an issue when using non-lethal attacks on Auntie Ethel would still kill her. Good. You can now. I need to remember non-lethals more often. I spent a lot of time in the game wanting not to kill a guy, but not really having the option, and maybe that would be the way to do it. You can now opt to respect the privacy of the bugbear and ogre outside the blighted village again. Don't get in the way of real love. I loved that scene. I thought that scene was hilarious, and I like that those characters are not. You're not finished with those characters after that scene. It's kind of been cool. I don't know why I would ignore that. Interfering with that was a lot of the fun. I could see reasons. Fix the level design quirk that would allow you to use a spell like Misty Step or Dimension Door to skip part of the main quest sequence in Act 2 is kind of a big deal. So it's good to have that fixed. Fix an issue where the Baldur's Mouth headline about a cute cat could get accidentally overwritten. Don't know what that means. If Will isn't recruited, he will now recognize Avatar Karlash and initiate dialogue. Make sure Mizora can always interrupt Will no matter where he runs off to. Throwing a single coin at the beggars no longer damages them. I'm role-playing a paladin, and I have lots of wealth. I spare some coin for the beggar. Beggar is attacked. Combat starts. If Dolly, don't know that person yet, curses you with a clown in town condition for making her angry, she will now paint your face. That'll teach you. Okay. Zuntarim of the Goblins camp should now be more tolerant if you approach them. That one got me. I had to load at least once for that because they aggroed out of nowhere, and I'm like, what? All right. Balance. That's a nice tag. I'm excited. Let's see what they got for us. Made gold bounties more generous in several containers across the game. I get it. I think there's some seriously underwhelming chests that you open and you're like, what? They locked this chest with like 4 gold in it for some reason. But gold is so prevalent in this game already. It's hard to imagine needing more of it. I suppose at some point you have so much gold that it actually doesn't matter. It's like not a negative to have more gold because you already are infinite resources pretty much. Increase players' HP bonus in Explorer mode from plus 50 to plus 100. Are there people really playing this game in Explorer mode? Is Explorer the medium one or the lowest one? The game is so easy that it's hard to imagine wanting player buffs at all in any mode. Fix the free cast tadpole power to properly reset on long rest. It was creating infinite spell points and sorcery points for sorcerers. Sounded like an exploit. Explorer is the lowest. Okay. It's fine. If people want to play on that game mode and they're super new to the game, they don't like tactical games, they just want to explore the story, I get it. Let's give them all the bonuses they want. Shit, they could have an invuln mode for all I care. Arcane Trickster's Mage Hand now does not expire until destroyed and does not lose invisibility on long rest. I can't imagine wanting to be an Arcane Trickster for any reason. All the other classes are so good in comparison, but hey, good. Let's have their abilities actually behave as they're intended. You can no longer have multiple Mage Hands active at the same time. Oh my god. I haven't seen this, but that sounds hilarious. You have like 5 Mage Hands and you're just like smacking some dude with them. It'd be amazing. The shield reaction no longer can be used when silence. Good. Fix not being able to use 5th level spell slots from sorcery points. Sure. College of Lore bards. This impacts me. Can now pick with which additional skill proficiency they receive. Aren't there 3? I think that's supposed to be 3 skill proficiencies. I guess we'll see. Bards that already have the College of Lore need to respec to get this choice. Any excuse, and now we have it in writing from Larian themselves. I must respec my Bard before I can play it again, since I'm a College of Lore Bard, not currently getting the benefits from College of Lore as I should. So that'll be fun. Make sure proper spell DC is applied during multiclassing. I haven't been looking for this, but now I'm curious if we've been screwing ourselves here. I wonder if it was up or down what it should have been comparatively. Added spells to Bard's magical features secret. I think this is supposed to be all spells, so it is good to see more added because I'm supposed to have access to all classes' spell list with magical secrets. Banishing Smite, Animate Dead, Crusader's Mantle, Hunger of Hadar, Revivify, Sleet Storm, Rage of Enfeeblement. I don't know what Rage of Enfeeblement is. I'm interested to hear now. Web, Entangle, Hunter's Mark, Sanctuary, Thunderous Smite, Bone Chill, Eldritch Morphic Blast. Don't know that one either. Firebolt, Ray of Frost, and Sacred Flame. Okay. Not many ones in here that I particularly care about, but still nice to see that buffed. All right. I think it's supposed to be Ray of Enfeeblement. That would make sense. Not a very exciting spell, but it makes sense. The Club of Hill Giant Strength now increases strength to 19 and not to some puny 15. Good. Fix a bug with ranged enemies reapplying Hunter's Mark constantly, even when not needed. Warlock's Pact of Chains summons now get their extra action more than once. This is by far the weakest of the Warlock features in my mind, of their Pact features. So seeing it at least work makes sense to me. But I also understand why this would get through the game without anyone noticing this bug, because probably no one ever picks this because it's absolute dog shit. But fixed NPCs sometimes spotting you even if they're not supposed to be able to. Fix an issue where multiple rolls trigger if you walked along the edge of a cone of vision. I wonder if that's been what's happening. It's often, if we start combat with one character out of combat while another character started the round through stealth, I often would find that the enemies repeatedly rolled perception rolls nonstop, even in turn-based mode, until they popped the other character out of stealth. I wonder if that's what was happening. Dense macabre ghouls will no longer kill you when you long rest. I didn't encounter that bug, but that sounds really, really annoying. If you make a successful saving throw against a poison, you will now gain immunity to that specific poison for 2 turns. I wonder if this includes enemies. Using poison on your weapons is something that I've been enjoying. I haven't found it to be mechanically super strong. There's a lot of enemies that are immune, whole areas where they're immune, and it's not a super replenishable resource, but I've enjoyed it. I wonder if this is a little nerf to that. So I wonder if this is for players or for NPCs or both. Grim, the Protector of the Forge, now deals more damage in Tactician mode. Good. Mean locks, which I always read as meme locks, but mean locks are now immune to the Shadow Curse. Did they fix the mean lock frighten stuff? Because that was super bugged for us. I would have expected that to like see that line right here. Good. They shouldn't be affected by the Shadow Curse, I guess. But where's the other fixes with that? Increase the HP and AC of Orin. I don't even remember who Orin is, or if I've found them. Lorcan can no longer cast his signature reaction spell, Elemental Retort, while silenced. Okay, help Minthara remember how to use their weapons. Seems relevant. Fix enemies targeting you through the ceiling in the Gauntlet of Shar. Seems good. Enable trespass warnings of any additional characters that trespass after the first instead of immediately triggering combat. Don't know what that means. I don't think I've had half-party engagements from trespassing. Fixed NPCs attacking outside of their turn when combat starts during turn-based mode. Turn-based mode is really clunky for me, or rather the combat initiation took me a while to figure out what was actually happening, and then it still didn't always seem to behave properly, so I'm hoping to see a lot of fixes around this. Fixed dialogue notifications like approval ratings and usability. Fixed dialogue notifications like approval ratings and roll results disappearing too early. This one is super fun because it was really, really annoying to see to hear the dice roll sound, and by the time you looked up to the top left to see what the hell you had rolled on, it was gone. So nice to see that. Same with some approval rating changes. I don't know about dialogue notifications, but I did notice this disappearing too early all the time. The launcher will now remember whether you chose DX11 or Vulcan. Cool. Fix the incorrect amount of gold being displayed in all UI menus if the amount is too large. I felt like I have too much gold, but I don't know if the amount was wrong or not. Fix spells like Hex randomly shifting in order, causing you to misclick if you're moving around. That's funny. I hate UI elements that move in turn-based games when you're trying to look for something. It drives you absolutely batshit insane. The things are like moving away from your mouse. Fix players who are merely listening in on dialogue being able to skip lines. Only the speaker should be able to do that. Fix an issue with the camp supply values for second local player and multiplayer if they join during a game. Long rest while also no longer costs nothing. Man, I don't know how you play this game multiplayer. I know they have built a game intended to be able to split the party between multiple players and playing it, but the game is so long. I don't know how anyone has time to do this as like a team. Like, how do you like fit like schedule limitations of having another person involved combined with like ever finishing the game? I mean, I guess you're just like committing to like a 10-year run where like, you know, you and your buddy who both have lives can play 1 hour a night 3 times a week, which means you'll never finish the game. But people are doing it, I guess. You no longer interact with another player's inventory. Send multi-selected items or use their items if their inventory is locked. Were people just like stealing from their buddies in the game? Fix the critical hit text sometimes not appearing. Improve the performance of the minimap when new map markers appear or old ones disappear. Okay. Dyed armor will now appear in the right color in the level up screen. I haven't done any dyed armor stuff. I should at some point. I like the idea of it, but I find enough gear in this game that updating my armor for the color combination just doesn't seem real. Halson's wild-shaped tooltip will now correctly call him a cave bear. Sweet. Oh, my chat says treat it like a D&D game, so like 4 hours a week. Yeah, but if I haven't beaten the game yet, and I'm like I'm almost like 100. I'm probably over somewhere around 150 hours, 125 hours maybe, right? So what does that mean? 25 weeks to get to 100 hours, and then another like 6 weeks to get here. So we're at what did I say? 25 and 6. So we're at 31 weeks to get there. to get to the end of Act 2 if I'm playing 4 hours a week. I mean, and I bet you the game plays slower with teammates than it does with one player too. All right. Fix the modesty filter not working on Dragonborn. Oh, that's hilarious. You're like, I don't want to see nudity. And then the fucking Dragonborn just got his dick out all the time. I get it. Why play Dragonborn? So I can see why no one has caught that bug. But that's hilarious. Fixed earrings on tiefling female strong character models. Okay. Added a controller style option which allows you to override which controller's icons are displayed. I don't know what that means. Fix an issue causing the clown makeup to not appear on Lae'zel's face when applied, but also remove her to not only not appear, but also remove her characteristic tattoo and makeup. Feels bad. Invoke duplicity now works as an identical copy of your character, and they're not naked. I hope that's not a threat. Sometimes my character's naked, and if I want to copy myself, well, sometimes you need a naked copy of yourself. Fix the leather helmet, a metal helmet, and the helmet of smiting floating on some character models. Fine. Undergoing partial ceramorphosis will now rot your teeth. What? That's bullshit. I'm turning into a squid man. I'm not rotting my teeth. I still brush regularly. I'm not big on this one. Lae'zel's underwear will now more accurately reflect the color of dyes used on it. I didn't even know you could dye underwear until this moment. Amazing, I guess. All right, cinematic scenes. Made fixes to kissing scenes with the origin characters across the game. For example, to make sure physical contact is made properly to account for shorter races and to account for uneven ground. As someone who literally makes a living off of playing strategy games, this is a line of text I never thought I would read in a patch review video, ever. But okay, kissing scenes buffed. It's good. Make sure Dame Aylin's armor and wings are correct in the scene where she kicks Lorican's butt, all right? Fix items like mugs and newspapers floating in the air during dialogues. The characters holding them are correctly hidden, but the items themselves weren't. Ghosties be gone. Fix Scratch's position so you can try to get the ball out of his mouth. Whether or not he'll let you have it is another matter. True. Improved Volo's aim during your ice pick lobotomy. Lae'zel no longer floats up and down during your dialogue when you discuss dating. Make sure Will has room to dance no matter where you're camping. Oh, Will. Fix some cameras that couldn't contain the force that is Asterion in the dialogue with him at night at camp. Also tweaked and added facial expressions where needed. Is that a sex reference? That's funny. The red dragon you can see through a telescope in the Emerald Grove will no longer remain blurry after you pass a perception check. I thought this was me. I was just like squinting at the screen. I'm like, I don't think that's any better. Fix the camera position where Karlach hugs you for the first time after getting her upgrade. We played as Halfling in our playthrough, and every camera position is weird. And some of them are really weird. And this was one of the ones where you're just like, what is this camera angle? So that's probably good. Fix the Mind Flayer not appearing in the cinematic dialogue with Dror Raglan if you manually trigger the dialogue. I don't remember that. I remember talking with him. I don't remember that dialogue one way or the other. Okay. All right. Traders who stock dye is now also stock dye remover. Made Lady Ether available to trade with after you've completed her quests. Fish vendors now have more fish to sell. Some player wrote in, Larian, I've been trying to buy all the fish, and every time I go to the vendor, he's out of stock. What gives? That's amazing. Popper the Kobold at the circus now sells more oddities. Lady Janeth will now have more artsy items to trade. Skeletons around the Selionite outpost no longer have fresh food in their inventory, and Lucia's portrait is now reachable. Okay. Miscellaneous. Updated the credits and reformatted them into 2 neater columns. The Digital Deluxe DLC, DOS 2 Bard songs are now also granted to companions as well. Fantastic. All the extra Bard songs from the Deluxe Edition will now be available even if you use Los's Lute of Merryweather Bard from the Deluxe Edition. DLC rewards are no longer removed if you had to load a save with the DLC not installed. Any rewards that were removed due to this will be restored. Steel Watcher idle sounds no longer take up streaming bandwidth. What? You can no longer climb the Shambling Mound. I didn't know you could climb the Shambling Mound. I wish we had. I felt like maybe we did jump on it. I really liked that. Why would we remove that? Actually, now that I reflect on that fight, I don't think that matters one way or the other. What was the broken thing you were doing by climbing the shambling mound? Optimize the walking bounds of gluts so it navigates the world and the battlefield better. Okay. Crashes and blockers. Fixed a crash on loading save games that had party members with what we call local items. Okay. Fixed a random crash when going to a long rest in the camp on a split screen. Fixed a crash in the Vulkan API. Fixed textures trying to load in twice when they were requested again while still pending unload, which would cause a crash later on. Fixed a crash that could occur when destroying projectiles. Fixed a crash that would occur when sunlit wetland illusion dropped. I love that scene, by the way. That was so good. Fixed an issue with cross-save, preventing players with unstable internet connections from creating or loading a save game. Fixed clients getting stuck on the loading screen when attempting to join a host game with mods running. That's probably a good one to have fixed. Fixed a crash related to interacting with the transponder on the Nautiloid and then opening the character sheet or party view. Okay. Multiplayer. Fixed the game thinking you have two controllers and entering split screen if you connect one controller via Bluetooth and then plug it in physically. I didn't know you could play this game split screen. Does this mean if you're like at home with I don't know, maybe you and your partner want to play or something, and you have this on a controller, you can just play simultaneously with that's pretty cool, I guess. I didn't know you could do that. That's so cool. I want to get into this game as a multiplayer game. I just don't believe that the time, I don't know. Kevin wanted to do a playthrough with me and I kind of want to do it, and I don't know, we'll see. Fix save and load warning messages appearing for non-host players and overlapping on the controller game menu and split screen. Fix multiple issues when in a multiplayer game a client leaves a game during a roll and a dialogue. Okay. Combat and balance. Another very exciting category for me. Fix not being able to end turn in combat when a character kills an enemy while outside of combat. I think this happened to us once. Multiclassing into Ranger. I feel like there could be so many great endings to this sentence. Doesn't now instantly get you party kicked. Would be how I would end that. But let's see. Multiclassing into Ranger now correctly provides proficiency in martial weapons. Okay. It's a less exciting ending to the sentence. It makes sense, but less exciting. Increase the HP of swarms in the guild hall to bring their totals more in line with level expectations. Fix the toll collector's visages not attacking you if she can't initiate combat herself. I'm looking forward to having that as a fight. I've skipped a lot of fights in Act 2 from being a bard, but that looked like a fun one. Adventurer Rosanna in the flop house is now level 5 instead of level 1. Okay. The voiceless penitent even, and the lower city is now a level 10 paladin, a worthy opponent. Githyanki will now move position when the Crash turns hostile. Okay. Harper Donner now has the ability scores and proficiencies of a proper wizard. I wish Gale had the ability scores and proficiencies of a proper wizard. That'd be exciting. Make sure certain bushes in the wilderness in the swamp in Act 1 don't block projectiles during combat. Fix the Slayer form not receiving an AC bonus from killing marked targets. Ooh, I don't even know what Slayer form is. An AC bonus from killing marked targets sounds like a fun ability. I wonder if that's a player thing. Anyway, the ambushers in the Temple of Baal were ambushing and hiding too well. They now, if you hide too well, you just never come out, huh? They now correctly wait and ambush or lead, depending on whether the leader's alive or dead. The rats in the Gauntlet of Shar can no longer scurry to lower depths when you've engaged them in combat. Fix the hag using an incorrect spell during one of her phases and tweak the damage values for the spell it should have been using. I feel like she cast some weird spells. I wonder if that was a bug in the end. Made the assault on Moonrise Towers a little less unforgiving if Jaheira is alone or dead and you don't have the Harpers to help you. That fight was so easy. Fixed a Flaming Sphere having an attack of opportunity. Oh my god, Flaming Sphere having an attack of opportunity would be amazing. That spell is already so good. Fixed an infinite damage loop between the Oak Father's Embrace and Justiciar Avengers and Tactician mode. Okay. Fixed the Archfey Warlocks not being able to use their Warlock spell slots if they are lower level than regular spell slots when multiclassing. Sounds like a pretty game-breaking bug. Fix the sneak attack reaction not working if finesse weapon is not equipped. Wait. Fix the sneak attack reaction not working if a melee finesse weapon is not equipped. Aren't you not supposed to be able to sneak attack if you don't have a melee finesse weapon as a reaction? So what is this fixing? I don't understand that. The durable feat now has the intended maximum constitution of 20. This is really interesting to me. Range sneak attack wouldn't trigger off a reaction though, right? You'd have to find some feature to do that. It just won't auto happen. This is really, really weird because this suggests that I've been thinking it was a bug for their half feats. Half feats are really good. I've been thinking it was a bug that their half feats want to set your maximum to 20 only, that they stop applying past 20. There's a bunch of ways to increase stats in this game above and beyond the normal 20 you would get from feats. Really weird. that the fix is to bring it in line with other ones that stop working when you're over 20. So what this means is the Larian intention for half feats is they're only valuable until you have 20 of that stat, and after that point it breaks the feat. Half the feat value is no longer there. That's a really weird fix. I would have assumed they would have fixed it the other way. Huh. It just makes them so much worse, and the feats are already hard anyway. All right. Fix some smoke powder arrows having incorrect weight and price. NPCs are now less likely to attack spiritual weapons. That's good. I stopped using spiritual weapons because it felt super gamey to just summon it and have all the NPCs just keep attacking this stupid like floating blade that doesn't matter. Fix spiritual weapon and spirit guardians receiving a 2-hit bonus in tactician mode. Oh, Spirit Guardian is that super useless spell that's probably not useless versus NPCs, but is absolutely useless versus players. Spiritual Weapon having a 2-hit bonus in Tactician mode. I didn't even notice it was doing that, but okay, makes sense. Spiritual Weapon upcast to 6th level now have the correct 36 HP when spawned. Second Wind and Lay on Hand healing amounts now correctly scale with level rather than overall character level. With class level rather. Good. This was a bug that we had noticed. My bard with 1 point, my level 9 bard with 1 point in fighter had an actual good heal out of Second Wind, which was nuts. So glad to see that nerfed. Shouldn't be there. All right, fix characters, and same with the Paladin apparently, which I hadn't even noticed. I just assumed that Lay on Hands was a pretty big heal, which it is, but bigger than it should have been apparently. Fix characters trying to move into combat position if they're casting a spell, so they'll no longer move back and forth from their combat position in spell casting. I think the pathing decision making for this game is really bad. If you let the auto preview ever do anything for moving to the correct position, you're almost always moving to some position that makes no sense to be in relative to where you could have just attacked from. I don't know how it calculates it or what it's optimizing for, but it's never good for me. Mimics will now react to being attacked from afar. I don't think I've passed a single check versus a mimic chest in time to have anything except melee fights with mimics, but that's funny. Using the Call Forth Allies summons no longer causes allies to enter combat hostile towards you. I don't know what this is. The Call Forth Allies summons. Is this like the summons from items? I've never had them be hostile yet, so okay. Allies now join combat no matter what distance they are from enemies when summoned. Whirlwind no longer requires concentration, has been reduced to 3 rounds. I don't even know what Whirlwind is. The Owlbear Wild Shape will no longer lose access to its rage charges at level 8. Seems good. Spiders in the Goblins camp will no longer stack on top of each other when they're trying to bite their victim. Did we have that happen to us? I don't remember. Minthara is no longer immortal for the entirety of the attack on the Emerald Grove. Fix Goblins rolling initiative while in combat and skipping their turn on the Goblin camp checkpoint. Halfling cultists in the Creche now wear leather armor. Okay. That's a balance change? Sure. Fix the combat AI timing out and ending the turn. It does this a fair amount of times, which is a way to keep the game flowing when it bugs, due to the game trying to create a puddle when it wasn't possible. All right. Reduce the flesh golem's attack damage in Explorer mode. Tweak the relationship between goblins and spiders. Goblins will react if you attack the spiders, but the spiders don't care much for goblins and won't join the combat. I was super surprised by that because we talked with those spiders, and the spiders were very dumb, very cute, and seemed to not like goblins at all. So I was really surprised when they, with how they behaved towards the goblins. Fix Auntie Ethel dying instead of getting knocked out even when non-lethal attacks are toggled on. In Tactician mode, Mean Locks now have increased dex and con stats as was intended. Okay. In Tactician mode, this is the second fix we've seen to Mean Locks, and it hasn't addressed the primary problem with them, which is their aura is not working as intended right now, or at least the combat log is not working as intended with their stuff. In Tactician mode, dinosaurs now have an extra attack. In Tactician mode, a Houndmaster Pole's dogs now have Terrifying Howl. And Gremshka's Panther Polymorph now has Jump. Okay. Actions and conditions. The Dragonborn's Breath Weapon attack now scales with your character level and uses Constitution as its saving throw. Feels important to have that scale. Seems like such a useless race to me right now. Made sure Kithraki Inferno now can be used once as intended. Don't know what that is. Sap characters now always fail Dex and Strength saving throws. I don't know what Sap is. It's exciting. Fix Pommel Strike being able to knock out characters that are immune to being knocked out. Didn't know it could. The Winged Horror Claw attack no longer paralyzes undead. All right. The Magic Weapon spell upcast to 4th level or higher now grants the correct bonus value. Corrected the DC of Death's Hand Stunning Gaze and fixed the distance in the description. Fix the feared condition causing us. This is what I've been looking for the last 3 times we talked about meme locks. Fix the feared condition causing a saving throw. No, it's not. It's not. Damn, I got excited. Fix the feared condition causing a saving throw even when the affected character is in the direct line of sight of the source of fear. Okay. Added a workaround for cases where casting the silence spell caused the game to freeze for long periods. Fix certain save games where you cannot talk to any or certain NPCs after the silence or garrote spells were used. Multi-attack spells such as Flurry of Blows should now only trigger the Netherbrain Sonic Rebuke reaction when its final hit is landed instead of the first attack. Okay. Fix minor illusion and invoke duplicity, causing an infinite loop of starting and ending combat. Hadn't found that yet, but I don't see any reason to play the trickster character, so I get it. Symbiotic Entity now works with unarmed attacks. Wild Magic Surge Retribution now also works with ranged attacks. Crusader's Mantle action now shows the aura radius during its preview. I wish all their spells had aura radius preview stuff. I regularly find myself wondering if something's in range or not. So it's kind of nice to see any and all previews being updated. The Telekinesis spell now works correctly when you attempt to use it from the hotbar. Good. Fix the Sword of Life stealing effect not triggering when dealing a critical hit. I almost bought this item like 4 times. I'm like, it looks so good. That's funny that it didn't actually work. Insect Plague now correctly rolls a Constitution saving throw each turn to deal full or half damage. Characters now make a saving throw if they walk into Insect Plague for the first time. I had a lot of members in chat telling me this spell was very powerful. Sounds like it was bugged. Fix Shield of Thralls being able to stun allies. That's a really big change. This ability went from... It wasn't useless. You could use it with familiars, and I was using it with familiars every once in a while, but it's going to be much better now that it doesn't stun allies. Key Resonation Blast targeting now correctly shows 5 meter AoE around the target. Good. Fix Stinking Cloud not reapplying as condition to characters that had the condition on the previous turn. It's good. Fix, this is such a medium spell that it really did not need to be bugged for sure. Fix Silence blocking casting Ice Knife. Okay. Fix Carrion's Canoptic Jar condition. Mystic Carrion's Canoptic Jar condition is no longer removed on its death. Okay. Fix the Exposing Bite condition being removed on any attack instead of only melee attacks. Fix the Cloud of Dagger spell sometimes not being considered a hostile action and not starting combat. Lol. Fix the Stone Skin spell granting resistance to magic damage and now only provide resistance to non-magical damage. Is this spell ever worth casting in any reason? Like, I feel like it should grant resistance to magical damage. It just seems like such a weak ass spell to me. Fix the Prepare and Brace weapon actions requiring 75% movement to be available. I did wonder about this. I really like these. These are really neat little weapon actions. The weapon actions in general, or weapon effects, I guess, are pretty damn cool. And I like the reroll damage dice ones that you get. And I did wonder why it wasn't always available to trigger when I had plenty of movement left. But there's the answer. Also, fix the associated misleading can't be immobilized warning when this happens. All right. Gameplay. Dude, these category titles are real questionable. Like some of these are, they're all gameplay. Anyway, whatever, sure. Gameplay. You now gain experience for enemies destroyed at the end of the Lakeside Ritual. Okay. Entering the city sewers from a certain location now gives the same exploration XP as other routes. Good. Added XP rewards for the area around Mason's house and the Shadow Curse lands because you deserve it. When defending Halston's portal, individual enemies now give less XP. I loved how XP heavy that fight was. I mean, honestly, you get way too much experience in the game, so nerfing XP across the board makes sense to me, but I loved it. It felt weighty because these were not just like summons that do nothing. This was like full experience. Anyway, so, makes sense, but I enjoyed that interaction. Fixed a bug allowing you to use the knock spell to unlock magically protected doors in Cazador's dungeon. Okay. Fixed the Oil of Combustion exploding after its condition expired. I haven't used this yet. It feels really sketchy to me, but not a bug apparently. Okay. Fixed the Wall of Fire area of effect not matching the target indicator. Wouldn't that be nice if I could somehow predict my Wall of Fire radius without just doing this entirely blindly? This spell is so buggy. Well, it's not the spell is buggy. It's the targeting of this spell is so buggy. So, and it's a really, really powerful spell, and I use it all the time. So anything they can do to make that UI better is going to be great. Kind of happy about it. No idea, chat, if it is making it better or worse. It's just, at the moment, supposedly making the target indicator better. You're right. I mean, it has an additional effect, right? You place the wall and it has an aura around the wall is how that's supposed to work. You know, it gets hot, not just in the fire, but near the fire. But I don't know what that's going to do. Maybe the targeting is going to be wider now, so it shows it. I have no idea. A scroll, a summon Quasit should now drop even if the container that held it was destroyed. Cool. This guy's a fun little summon with some interesting dialogue lines, right? The planar ally Cambion Fire Surface no longer creates a fire surface on death. Okay. Made adjustments to balance Dance Macabre and fix the School of Necromancy version to summon creatures correctly again. Okay. Crystals in the Astral Prism can now only be broken with the Orphic Hammer. Certain skeletons in Crashees will no longer be highlighted when pressing the Alt key. I don't understand that. Why are all loot containers not highlightable when pressing the Alt key? Why are some skeletons like that can hold, for example, magic items, not highlightable? I don't get what they're intending to do there. Fixed a vase that was creating a water surface that could not spawn. Fixed a potential performance issue caused by one of the turrets beneath the Emerald Grove. Gave the prison guards at Moonrise Tower more fitting staves. Their staves were too small. Updated the situation involving Nettie's poison so you can use alchemy rather than her cauldron. Doozy the Dunce will now actively look for his ring in the mud. Can now cure the Zaeth's debuffs with tadpoles. Partial and full Ceramorphosis now remove these debuffs. Char will no longer clone the tadpoles themselves in the mirror trial. Made it easier. That's good because that didn't work for us. It gave us those notifications and we spent a bunch of time looking for things that weren't there. Made it easier to select cloakers and make them sneakier at sneaking. Added some generic headlines back into Baldur's Mouth Gazette if you generate a lot of papers. You should no longer need to disarm the crush spike trap near the Nautilus crash site. Fixed undead thralls not using increased proficiency bonuses at higher levels. The Cambion form from the Infernal Rapier can now be dismissed. You can no longer use Dimension Door on creatures that are grounded. Is grounded prone, you think? Or is there some other condition called grounded? Prone is a really powerful condition in this game. Do we really need to buff it further? Let's hope it's not a further buff. The transmuter's stone cooldown can be reset by the potion of angelic slumber. Okay. Fix the trial of courage being half as long as necessary. Dead enemies staying in combat and some characters not joining the combat. Okay. Fix a perception check not triggering correctly in the sewers near the basilic gate due to line of sight. Fix the encumbered condition not always reacting correctly to changes in your weight. Characters that leave the position you're in will now have their summons dismissed. Use the ladder and Zevlor's. Using the ladder in Zevlor's secluded chambers is no longer forbidden. The sloop at Moonrise Tower Prison will no longer leave with you, even if you choose to stay. This interaction was bugged for us for sure. Increase the range at which restoration pods work in the high halls. You can reuse them on party members who are standing far away from where they were first used. Okay. Fix characters floating or squatting when they became visible, for example, during after cinematic dialogues. Fix contagion poison disappearing after one successful saving throw during stage 2 or stage 3. Fix Mind Sanctuary allowing a free action if you don't have any before entering the aura. Fix the Sharpshooter feat not applying its penalty to offhand range attacks. Characters will now sheathe the Everburn blade when idle. Fix the Twisting Vine surface expiring early instead of ticking with combat turns. Huh. Twisting Vines are pretty annoying already. I guess we're just nuking them with fire every time we see them now. Fix the Wave Mother's Robe not providing cold resistance. Wild Shape players can no longer run around after the final confrontation with Ketheric. Fix Concentration not updating correctly after you load a new region. Fix Wild Magic Vine Growth not triggering correctly for Barbarians. You can no longer avoid answer by sneaking or being shapeshifted when interacting with them. Added a perception check to a particular still life painting in the lower city. Fixed a bug when switching characters right before a cinematic would cause the cinematic to not play. Talking to Topaz no longer consumes a wild shape charge. That's funny. Fix spells that should work on allies, sometimes not working on certain party members. Fix a bug where if a player, character, or NPC stops being affected by a silencing spell, they can no longer talk to anyone. This is some weird bugs. Fix Minx not following your party even if he's grouped and recruited as a companion. Tweak the action serve achievement to only allow specific spells to count multiple times. Fix a black screen appearing at the end of a tutorial for dead avatars in the player's companion's inventory. Adjusted the outer bounds of the Nirluna Trident. Don't know that one. Needs some especially repetitive overhead dialogues in Emerald Grove less annoying. I always appreciate that. A little bit of background conversation's fun. A lot is quite irritating. Fix the Crawler, Mucus, and Malice Poison Flask applying weapon coating when thrown like a grenade instead of applying their poisonous condition with other poisons. Fix Wild Magic Protective Lights not highlighting effective allies. Fix Fist of Unbroken Air not applying fall damage and pushing the target. That feels like that would have been a really annoying one if you were pushing people with the monk ability and they weren't taking falling damage. Fix some keybind options that weren't working and remove some old ones. You will no longer be thrown into the Moonrise Tower's jail if the emergency lever has already been activated. All broken moon lanterns, not just Nears, can now be investigated in a dialogue. Okay. All right, chat. We are 30% of the way through this page's scroll bar. This is how big these patch notes are. It's kind of wild. Let me just get a quick sip of water and then we'll keep going. The best offense is virtually nonsense background goal for soldiers is no longer missing from the game. The apple a day keeps the scalpel away. Background goal for soldiers is no longer unlocked at the wrong moment. Fix the not another soul background goal, sometimes completing after the wrong combat. Fixed an issue with killing the Mind Flayer at the crash site. Triggered the fresh kindle to fire background goal. Now it correctly triggers a different one. During the attack on the Emerald Road, a lump in the ogres will no longer attack Ceres. Fixed the elevator summon stones in the Gauntlet of Shar remaining active even after the elevator has reached its destination. The Guardian of Faith will no longer appear after you killed it. We've asked Shadowheart to be more careful with the mysterious artifact and not let guards take it from her while being sent to prison. So much storyline around that. Made various improvements on how the Gith react to combat, and the Crash fixed a potential soft block that made it more difficult to find the self-destruct code for something I don't want to keep spoiling. Fix some issues with the hostility of eagles on the top of the monastery. They'll now be hostile when summoned, and will no longer be hostile if you enter their nest without being spotted. Yeah, I got scammed by that, stupid eagles. All right. So good to see that. It was fun to not have to kill them, but annoying that I still had to kill them in the end, or rather, to do anything, had to aggro them. Added a fade between the Dark Urge and Karlach's dialogue. Okay. Fixed an issue where killing near Wulbren or Karlach with necrotic, cold, or acid damage would result in failing quests to get their head. That's funny. Sometimes corpses deteriorate. I guess sometimes that mattered for quest lines. Fixed a bug with Gortash not attacking the Dark Urge or Karlach immediately after they choose to attack him. Fixed Gortash talking about clearing up mysteries twice if he's confronted by the Dark Urge. You no longer need to pass a survival check to find the brewer's alchemy stash after learning about it from his research notes. Good. Priestess Guts should now be more careful with her potion of sleep and not put it up for sale or drop it on death. Could you interact with her before she used that on you and then buy it from her? That's funny. You no longer need to pass a survival check to find the secret stash of the Blue Jay near after it's been revealed. Good. Volek now understands if you're sneaking around her cell at Wormrock Prison when trying to rescue her, the sneaky is for her own benefit. Fixed Astarion talking about things that are no longer relevant. Removed an incorrect line between companion when companion Astarion meets Ulma. Okay. Fixed a rare edge case where the Dark Urge could miss the battle at the temple, meaning some stuff that I don't want to learn. Fed 3-piece, Bad Twin, and Carolina. The wolf some more lions. Good. Fixed the game sound sometimes not recognizing them after the party has met Karlach. Tweaked an endgame dialogue flow. In case Karlach is in the party and not a Mind Flayer, Karlach will now enter a rage. She was defeated and resurrected while fighting the paladins as long as she's near where the fight happened. Okay. Karlach will no longer ask Lae'zel about being betrayed if it didn't happen. Characters with a dual wield feat will no longer see their weapons duplicated in one of the trials. The statues in the gauntlet will no longer have an option to give Shadowheart permission to undertake the trial if she did not ask for it. Fix some flow issues in dialogues with the Dark Urge and Minx. Fix the hostages getting stuck and not running. A lot of these are areas that I don't recognize, which probably means this is Act 3 then, because it's the only act I haven't played yet, which means a lot of this stuff is a spoiler for Act 3, but also B, a lot of bugs in Act 3, especially like a lot of the storyline, which is great to hear because this has been one of the complaints that I've seen repeatedly about Act 3, is that a lot of the companion interactions, talking, judgments, and storyline stuff doesn't make sense for the actions the party has done. So seeing a bunch of bug fixes here, although annoying to kind of like quasi-spoil for myself and you guys, although I did spoiler warning in the beginning of this video, it's still nice to see this stuff changing. All right, fix the hostages getting stuck and not running to the submersible if you blah, blah, blah. Fix stop aim to speak with Volo in Act 3 if you poison the Goblin's brew while Volo was performing on Act in the Goblin Cage and you didn't save him afterwards. Oh, good. I want to see Volo again, but we chased him off for a different reason. Hopefully he still comes back. Fixed Marina appearing in Baldur's Gate if you gave her to the hag in Act 1. And fix some save games with the bug in them if you hadn't progressed through the related quests in the city. I wonder what's going to happen in our game. This quest has been bugged in Act 1. Fix the hag being hostile to players in the beginning of Act 3. Seal Watchers will now correctly and consistently choose sides in different states of the city of Baldur's Gate. Fix the dead family members and the house disappearing. Jahir and Minx past are tied. They've already had this. This line is in there twice. It's a bug with their bug fix modes. Okay. Fix the owlbear cub not becoming a campfire when it should due to triggering certain dialogue options in the scene at night. Yeah. I did nothing about fixing suicidal owlbears, though. Fixed an issue causing the post-credit scenes to be skipped in old save games. Your Dream Visitor now asks you to gather your allies if you use a waypoint to leave the Shadow Curse lands. Okay. All players are now presented with the option to destroy or dominate. Let's not ignore that real quick. More spoilers. A lot of spoilers here. Spear of Night Marker should be removed upon finding the room it's stored in. Good. The Dark Urge now has a specific flow when talking to Minthara after killing Orin. You can no longer ask Avery more than once in the lower city. Okay. You no longer need to unlock the printer again if you haven't changed the headline. Fixed art Kolag sometimes talking about someone as though he isn't right there in the room. Fixed a bug where Holson would return to Emerald Grove even if he said he'd meet you there. Fixed repeating lines of dialogue with Chell. Gale's minor mirror image that invites you to a private conversation should no longer talk to companions. That's funny. Elminster should no longer repeat his lines if you send him to camp and leave him there for extended periods of time. Fix some potential instances of party members becoming neutral to each other. Auntie Ethel's illusion of the entrance to the shelter should no longer appear inside the walls. Added fading to the transitions between Kaga's dialogues and the Druid's assault and the Tieflings. A lot of stories that we didn't end up doing. Bug Thimble now explains before turning hostile if you interact with their coffin. Good. All right. Yeah, a lot of this subsection has been spoilers, chat. So again, beware. Fix some flow issues in dialogues with Jaheira. I felt like there were flow issues with her even in Act 2. Make sure the coffee maker now takes the money you offer him. Coffin maker. That was a Freudian slip for sure. Fix not being able to talk to Origin companions after about Ketheric after he escapes. Add a dialogue option to allow you to refuse Raphael. Fixed a potential blocker when trying to leave the Astral Prism after you decide how to deal with Orpheus, okay? Tied up the dialogue flow if you use the Supreme Tadpole, but then choose to put it away. Fix the same dialogue with Orpheus and the plane triggering twice. Isaiah no longer mention Assyrian coming for your neck during the camp celebration if he hasn't revealed he's a vampire yet. Fix an issue when bribing Claws at the circus entrance, okay? Fix an issue with the goblins started dialogue about making noise and waking them up even if the goblins have already left the camp. Fix a line. So a lot of these are just, I might skip this section. This is a lot of details about the flow and scripting. I'm not sure that it helps to know this as the player, except to know that a lot of them have been fixed. Because it's just like reading like spoiler after spoiler after spoiler after spoiler that doesn't really impact our engagement with the game, except to know that these things have been fixed. So I think it's a long one too, man. All right. Okay. Yep. I'm trying to do pretty comprehensive about that, but I think those ones are just, I think it's not working for what the intent is, right? We want to see how the game has changed in a positive manner, not necessarily the details of that. So a bunch of specific flowing stuff. This feels like a lot of the similar ones. These are very specific journal improvements. Updating the journal is a huge mess in terms of when it works and when it doesn't, and because it's so buggy, it's often often what you'd use quest journals for, which are like figuring out your progress along quest lines and what you need to do, is unreliable because the journal, you don't know if the journal is just bugged, if something hasn't updated as it's supposed to be, if something needs more input from you to do a thing before it will change. You often have no idea because the journal just isn't working well. So anything they do for that is going to be good by and large. There seems to be a number of specifics in here, but even skimming this, I don't see all the specific problems that I have had in this game with my journal, but still good to see these. All right. Writing. Man, I don't want to skim the entire rest of the patch notes without reading through them. I've been enjoying hearing what they've done, but maybe this works. All right. Fixed an unpolished subtitle and dialogue between Astarion and Cazador. Removed a spell description from Guiding Bolt that was unique to the controller UI. The same one is used everywhere now. Added a lore description to the Ring of Murderous Opportunity. Amended the muddy condition described to mention slowing, not halting affected targets. Gave 2 Divination Wizard Prophecy abilities exciting names. They should update the fucking Divination Wizard secondary ability then to tell me that I don't actually gain my Divination Wizard abilities back on a short rest. Instead, I gain a number of like mini quests that are related to getting them back instead of just getting them back. And that these quests will have dumb shit in them, like having arcane wizards do holy damage for some reason. I mean, this is a start in the right direction, but where's the rest of it? Fix an incorrect dragon name. Added text to indicate dragon landing spots in the combat of the High Hall. Fix the names of levitating platforms in the mind of another brain. Don't want to hear about that. Made several tweaks to tooltips for clarity and accuracy, such as Divine Strike variant, Sneak Attack, and Poison. Tooltips are another weak point in this game right now, so anything they do to clean those up are good, because you often have no idea how something's going to interact till you've done it. Updated Dance Macabre toolkits to not mention corpses. Fixed several text issues like typos and mismatches between subtitles and VO. You can no longer bring up Mystara before you know about her when talking to Gale. Rewrote a book to align more closely with the Dragonborn lore. Updated the description of Gale and Astarion's camp clothing. Altered symbiotic an entity's description to specify that extra damage works in unarmed strikes too. Warning bond tooltip now mentions the caster shares damage with the rewarded ally. It was a very cool tooltip before that. It was a very powerful spell if it had worked as the tooltip said too. The uncanny dodge tooltip now mentions that it's a reaction. I am not actually convinced the game enforces reactions like that. I feel like I often get multiple reactions in a round, but maybe I'm wrong. The content should now correspond with the titles in the books about Saloon and Shard and the Owlbear Cave. Fix some flow issues and rework the dialogue option for Avatar Gale to make it clear that... okay, I'm not reading the rest of that. Fix the blank dialogue option when talking to Halsin. That's funny. Sometimes he just stares at you. Update the description of debuffs given to you to suggest possible solutions. Rework the dialogue option to make it clear that you're inviting a kiss from Will. Amended... Sometimes Will just is like, goes in for a kiss. You're like, whoa, dude, that's not what I'm saying. That's funny. Amended half-orc savage tax to mention the correct amount of extra damage dice on a critical hit. Whoa. So what is it? The tooltip in the game says savage attack. It doesn't say anything about extra dice. It just says it's a 3 times critical damage, which means it should take all dice 3 times. Half-orcs in pen and paper add a dice. I think it's a D8 die to attacks for a critical. I wonder what the actual correct thing in the game is. Kind of curious now. I can't figure out how to make a half-orc work for anything because it just seems worse in every way than... Or rather, you only get one player character, and the non-player character half-orcs are like non-existent and pretty bad. So we'll see. Clarified in the Illithid Powers tutorial pop-up that tadpoles are a shared party resource. That would have been nice to know for me. I certainly didn't know that till chat told me. Cambions in the House of Hope are now called Vengeful Cambions. Fix the blood of Lathander's Sunbeam tooltip incorrectly stating you can recast it in combat for free. This was quite annoying for me. The weapon is really good, so it's irrelevant that this is not a repeating effect. But Sunbeam is a repeating effect, so I assumed that the weapon that casts Sunbeam would be a repeating effect, and it definitely wasn't. So it was nice to see that. Rewrote Hunter Ranger's level 11 multi-attack ability to explain the separate attack rolls against targets. Amended the Sage background goal to be less misleading. Changed the incorrectly named Mirror Trial to Self-Same Trial. Added an upcast damage description to Cloud Kill tooltip. Fixed the upcast description for gaseous form, corrected the information of Blight spell tooltip about the effects on plant creatures. Avatar Lae'zel no longer ends up. I'm not going to read that. Updated the lore description of Floral Key. Added a display name for the secret door. Added a dialogue option for players who don't have the hammer. Okay. Added a subregion name for the Hag Survivor basement. Cool. All right. Loot and trade. One of the chests in Emerald Grove now has more treasure. Fixed Meanlocks not carrying any belongings. Added some missing poison ingredients to the brewer's stash. The clergy will now sell... The Bay Knight Clerk will now sell free samples. The Steel Watch Titan now carries Infernal Metal. Improved the loot of Auntie Ethel when she's in the city. Added treasure to the Buried Mound revealed by the Blue Jay. Added more gold to the Risen Road Toll House treasure. They now sell scrolls of Revivify. Dude, I have so many of those. Servants of Umberly now carry more belongings. Fixed a pouch in Worm's Crossing Michigan's treasure. Fixed the pockets of the Sentinels. Added more valuables to the chest to rescue the trapped man. Wargs now drop Warg Fangs. That sounds like a nice one. Warg Fangs make something cool. I can't remember what it is. Might be viciousness. Might be something else. But anyway. There are now fewer empty bottles and alcohol-related loot. No, it's the extra action elixir. I don't remember where we actually fight wargs, though. Anyway. There are now fewer empty bottles and alcohol-related loot. Looting Kaga and the Shadow Druids are now permitted if you enter combat with them. All Grimishka nests now have loot. Looting the corpses. No, I'm not talking haste, chat. I'm talking the one that gives you extra actions on kills, which are off wargs. Looting the corpses of the goblins will kills during the fight of the Emerald Grove as the front gate is now permitted. That's good. It was a weird bug, and it's been in there since the early access, right? Alchemical elixirs aren't as rare for higher levels anymore. Keys are now gold cost 1 instead of 0. Fixed payment. I wonder why that matters. Fixed payment of barter for the Hellrider's Pride reward. Fixed magic items not spawning correctly at traders in rare situations. Act 1 slightly tweaked the frequency of hyena eardrops. Okay. All right. 2/3 of the way through. Character creation and level up. Skill proficiency selection has been fixed on keyboard and controller. What does that mean? Removed a frame delay at the end of the Origins introductions during character creation. Fixed an issue where players aren't able to skip the Origin character introductions when they played. Elf ears are no longer clipped through helmets. Drows not receiving Dancing Light cantrip and creation screen. And fixed the voices of your guardian character creation appearing in reverse order when using a controller. Okay. Wonder what that one means. Items. Fixed an issue where you can store items in containers that cannot be opened, such as destructive barrels. It's funny. So you could put items in a barrel and then you could never get them back. That's funny. Boxes of fireworks will now specify the damage. Fix the bug when adding items to the chest of mundane, changing the weight of an item. Fix an issue with the chest of mundane, stop functioning as intended once you arrive in the crossing. Fix some unreachable items in the Underdark. Fix some unreachable items on a desk near the black-skinned head in the necrotic laboratory. Fix several unreachable items in the House of Healing surgery room. Fix some unreachable loot on the Nautiloid. All right. UI and tooltips. Didn't we already have a tool? Didn't we just do a tooltip? Apparently not. Okay. Fix the vitriol shadowroot sac being displayed twice in the alchemy panel. Fix the crystalline lens alchemical ingredient being highlighted in orange as important story item. I wish they would do that for more unimportant items that I'm hoarding because they're highlighted in orange and I assume they're important. Made it easier to tell which settings you can't change due to a previous choice. Improve the formatting of the radial customization pop-up. Fix some text overlaps with the bonuses in the active roll screen. Fix various issues with minimap render. Specify that Savage Attacker feat applies to melee weapon attacks. I thought it did say melee. I thought currently the tooltip, prior to this patch, I thought the tooltip was that melee criticals are 3 times, but maybe it didn't. Okay. Supreme and Astral Tadpoles are now orange. Fix the minimap not updating when walking into last night's inn. Made it easier to understand which dialogue option was selected when listening in on a conversation. In multiplayer, it's probably nice to know what your teammates are choosing. Map objective text will now wrap if the line is too long. Fix layout issues with waypoints on the minimap, adding extra messaging for when fast travel is blocked. Unarmed attack tooltips will now display bonuses correctly. It's probably nice if you play a monk. Added several tutorial entries back to the journal. Fix the icon and duration of the tooltip for improved minor illusion. Prevented containers from automatically closing when you click take all, if not all items are actually taken. For example, if you're over encumbered. It's probably nice. You probably leave stuff when you don't mean to. Oh, Savage Attacker is the feat, not the half-orc. Thanks. Fix item and spell bonuses being incorrectly displayed on the roll UI for characters who are incapacitated in some way. Item and spell bonuses being incorrectly displayed in the roll UI. Okay. Fix some monk spell tooltips not displaying their unarmed strike boost bonuses. Fix tooltip titles and durations overlapping. The tutorial for the item context menu is delayed until the end of combat at the Emerald Grove gate. Okay. Prevented the Orphic Favor aura from spamming overhead and in the combat log. Fix the combat log displaying the wrong tooltip for Sonic Backlash. To avoid showing 2 very similar warning messages, we added a line that would tell you can't load or save the game if the reason for both is the same. Fix messages that explain why an action or spell is unavailable. They're only showing the cause and or that we're not showing in the hotbar. Fix Cloud of Daggers tooltip specifying the incorrect amount of damage when upcasted. Attempting to long rest when a zone where it's impossible now shows the right error. Short rest tutorial no longer pop up when you're at camp. Make general optimization improvements and cleanups of the UI. It's nice. Wonder what they are. Update the cooldown system for the hotbar to avoid certain actions from being disabled after you use them once. Fix the remarkable athlete proficiency bonus not get adding to the active roll UI. Oh, this is champion barb, right? So no reason to ever have that. Fix missing approval ratings in the character sheet. Added giant flight's missing upcast description. Fix the eye bite spell not displaying the condition correctly. Fix the Shar's Embrace condition missing an icon. Remove the empty facial hair tab for drow and character creation who can't have facial hair anyways. Fix the icon for emeralds. Fix lightning arrow not applying this to the roll type in its tooltip, not specifying the roll type. Fix the shield spell tooltip specifying the duration of the spell incorrectly. What does it say? That's kind of weird. I didn't even notice. Fix tooltips for Bardic Inspiration not updating their recharge time after level 5. Fix throw spells such as Telekinesis not showing their range. Fix tooltips not reopening after you close pin tooltips or the party line when using the controller. Fix translation not found showing the spell targets. Fix one side of the journal UI temporary disappearing of a player exits split screen while it's open. Fix several UI issues when playing with controller related to panels and tooltips. Fix origin, portraits, and character creation when playing with the controller after returning from the Guardian customization screen. Holy fuck, that's a lot of layers of conditionals. Fix the wrong spell save DC and spell attack values appearing in character creation when proceeding to edit your Guardian then going back to edit your character. Fix the incorrect icon for Orin's dagger. The unavailable spell not prepared error message for reactions no longer overlaps other text. Move the error messages that tell you when you can't do something to the hotbar if the reason for the restriction is a condition. Translated the manage. I think that's hit us a couple times. We're like, why can't we do that with the blind and the jump yesterday, in fact. Translate the Manage Experiences button for managing your illithid powers. Improve the performance of the minimap when new map markers appear, old ones disappear. Fix a rare case of level up UI not appearing. Fix passives and bonuses not showing up on the initial screen on level up for Rangers of the Hunter subclass. Okay. Campfire icon to the tutorial pop-up window. Cosmetically updated map warnings, made them less transparent. Added a new icon to clearly distinguish exiting camp and going to camp. Fixed the death saving throw UI disappearing after saving the game. Fixed missing text for advantage reason for the knocked out condition. Fixed some denizens of the Emerald Grove showing up as traders in the map even if they had nothing to trade. Fixed the salts of copper shavings recipe being listed 3 times. Fixed the active search tutorial pop-up disappearing too early before you approach the gate to the Emerald Grove. What's the active search tutorial pop-up? You can active search in this game? I must be not understanding what that is. Fix the active search tutorial pop-up showing the wrong button prompt. Small shovels no longer automatically take up your slot in your hotbar. Remove the 0 that appear for concentration spells that don't expire after a certain number of turns. Players using a controller are now able to see their character tags correctly. Searching my inventory. I see. Okay. Players using controller will now be able to skip the level up intro animation. Fix the localization issue for spellbook category names. Fix the issues for resources and reactions overlapping in the hotbar. Fix the text about concentration being cut off on split screen when too long. Fix HTML tags being visible in the journal. Fix feat selection during level up in some multi-class combinations while using a controller. And fix the encumbrance icons height in tutorial messages. Okay. Level design and map. I don't know if this is helpful to us as reading. Seems like a lot of spoilers in here too. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip that. All right. Animation. So, I mean, bunch of stuff in there. It seems pretty minor as I skim it. Level design and map stuff. All the improvements are good. They said there's going to be over 1,000 bug fixes. I feel like I've probably read about 1,000 at this point. So let's keep going. On higher frame rates, fixed an issue when sometimes the open-close sound of doors would play after the door would finish opening and closing. Fixed Carlix animations not playing correctly before recruitment dialogue. Updated skinning on footwear. All right. I love the random like aesthetic stuff that I've never even think about. It's like, yeah, my character's foot models are not perfect. I can't see the proper arc of the foot through that slipper, and that's like a bug fixed, and then it gets treated as important and gets in there. It's amazing to me. Dismissing familiars doesn't pause anymore before actually dismissing. Fixed body parts going through the Wave Mother's robe. Fixed the hairstyle that was showing visual artifacts when the head moved around on a strong male body type. I'm not reading the rest of these animation ones, I don't think. I'm mostly interested in UI, quality of life, mechanic, and bug fixes. Less so about the animation and like writing fixes. Those are good to hear, but I'm not sure that are that important for reviewing patch notes. You're not going to know if you never encounter them before the patch. You're not going to notice. And if you did encounter them before the patch, you probably don't notice ever again, anyways. But it's just small quality of life stuff for keeping the quality of their game high. How is art different than animation here? Isn't clipping an animation? Anyway, whatever. Sure, same again. There's a lot in that one. Some audio adjustments. Made several mixing adjustments across the game. Good. There's been some mixing problems. Sometimes things are really, really quiet. Tweaks the audio to make it sound like vocalization is coming from the head rather than the body. Polished character vocalization in several dialogues. These are all good, but not that important to review again, I think. Same with these. Very similar. We could look. Are Paladin Smite noises quieter is a great question. The Paladin Smite noises are ridiculous, I agree. Hopefully that's caught somewhere in that. Okay. All right. VFX is a little bit more interesting. Sometimes this matters for our combat stuff, like especially displays. Let's see. Crawler, Mucus, and Drow Poison cloud surfaces now share a visual cloud effect. It removes smoke VFX above the lodge if there's no longer a chimney. Assign some Paladin effects and animations to her soul branding. Fix a fire. Nah, most of these don't look like they actually matter for the stuff that we're interested in. Yep, I'm going to skip over that one too. Not going to read cinematic stuff. Same deal. Looks like they've improved a number of things about cinematics. Let's keep looking for, oh my God, not just a little bit of things, like page after page after page. So that's one full page. 2 full pages, 3 full pages, 4 full pages, 5 full pages, 6 full pages, 7 full pages, 8 full pages. These are just cinematics. 9 full pages, 10 full pages, 11 full pages, 12 full pages, 12 and a half pages of cinematic fixes is hilarious. Not in a bad way either. That's great they've done that. I don't need to read through them though. We will just experience better cinematics and I'll be appreciative of that. All right. Made miscellaneous performance optimizations. I know a lot of players have been complaining about optimization. I haven't gotten to Act 3 where I heard it's particularly bad, but it'll be interesting to see. Made minor GPU time improvements on the Vulkan renderer. Okay. Launcher added a clear message about mod and data mismatches and some options to help fix it. That'll be nice if we ever play modded, and I'm tempted to play modded soon. Added confirmation for resetting your graphics. Fixed the controller cursor disappearing when switching from controller to keyboard and mouse by pressing the escape key. Fixed secondary weapon slots not working correctly on the controller. Something was already equipped there. Fixed the controller issue preventing you from selecting an oath when multiclassing in a paladin. Fixed the missing healing icon on controller. Other. Fixed a memory leak on saving and loading. Seems really important. Fix allies' abilities causing a performance issue in the endgame. Fix non-dialogue scenes not updating their animations. And improved robustness of behavior animations and script interactions. Okay, that was a long one. That's a lot of improvements. Hilariously, I mean, they did say this was going to be bug fixes. I would have liked to have seen some more fixes regarding some of the some of the UI bugs that I dislike. Things about tooltips. I mean, there was some tool stuff in there, but the tooltip reflections are still pretty poor on what the actual game stuff does. A lot of the overlapping of circles and range stuff is slightly inaccurate, so it projects things and sometimes doesn't actually occur that way. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of those for some of these. I would have liked to have seen cleaning up of some of the class interactions, things that like class ability is supposed to do one thing and doing something slightly different, that kind of stuff. But I mean, obviously, a patch this big only fixed on cleaning up the game based on, in large part, of feedback of players reporting these bugs is freaking amazing. So nice to see this. Really excited about the timing on it too. It came out of kind of nowhere, like super fast from my perspective, from when this was kind of talked about on Twitter versus actually seeing it live. And then also really appreciated their early intro saying that their patch 2 is going to be soon. I can't, where's the actual line right there? You won't be waiting long for patch 2. Again, nope, there's no promise on the timeline there, but this was very soon. So seeing these patches come back to back so close is great. Like this game is a long game with a lot of content in it, and I haven't even completed the content of it, and they're fixing a bunch of the problems with that, which is pretty damn good. So been really excited to see this. Like, it helps make my decisions about the game a little bit cleaner, and of course makes a great game even better as they're fixing this stuff.